just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat ass sunlight already.
We've even seen a referee 2 feet from the play on the sideline staring at the guy trying to catch the ball, staring at where his feet are, and still calls him out.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer, absolutely, and showing that he could possibly be the GOAT.
All right, but I gotta say something about the New England Patriots here. The Patriots kept coming out and saying before the Super Bowl even happened, they kept saying, "Oh, well, everybody's against us." Bullshit.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know. That's right. We're ready to go here. We're ready to talk some more football. Let's get us all psyched up for the regular season that's right around the corner. We have one more week of preseason left. It's one more last shot for the undrafted free agents, for the even the draft picks to prove themselves that they belong on the 53-man roster when it's all said and done. Going from 90 players to just 53 all within a week. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. And everything that's taking the NFL news by storm right now is Andrew Luck, the surprise retiring.
What?
During a game, like it comes out, Adam Schefter posted on Twitter that Andrew Luck is going to be retiring immediately.
Right.
And the fans find out there while the game's going on, and they start booing him. So it sends like everybody into a whole frenzy over this, and whether they're crappy fans or maybe he should have been booed and stuff. So Andrew Luck is taking the NFL news by storm, and his surprise retiring. And I'm not surprised, because he was getting banged up a lot. That could wear on somebody. So,
I mean, last 2 years. But here's the thing: is he was just getting back to. I mean, we look at what he did last year. So start off real slow, but then as he got into better football shape, gained some confidence with the past injury to his shoulder and everything, he kind of returned to the old Andrew Luck that a lot of Colts fans love. And the unfortunate thing for me is that I just think he couldn't get over it mentally. Mm-hmm. Like he just discovered that he has like an ankle issue, a leg issue, and it just seemed like one injury compacted on top of another for the last three. Now going into the third year since he got first injured, to him it just became too unbearable to deal with, and just. Quite honestly, didn't want to disappoint the organization anymore in holding out, and now it's a shock to a lot of us. I'm actually surprised. I mean, he's 29 years old at a quarterback. He still can play. And I think if he came back, I think he would have another strong year this year. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see Andrew Luck no longer. He's made the decision, and he's one of those players where. After he makes a decision, I think he's thought it out well, and I don't think he's going to be like change his mind a year from now and be like, okay, now I want to get back in. I think that he's set, and he's all set financially. That's for sure too.
Yeah, he gets to keep the $26.8 million, I think it is.
And that's the funny thing too is like a buddy of mine today. We were talking about the whole situation, and he was like, you know what his net worth is? It's $100 million.
Wow. Boom.
Net worth, $100 million for Andrew Luck in a short career. Peyton Manning, 18-year-long career, $200 million. Mm-hmm. But what that shows you is, okay, he only had 6 years and he had half of what Peyton Manning did versus 18 years of playing. Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning won a couple Super Bowls. Andrew Luck, unfortunately, never, got to see that. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's a different era now. That's what it shows me. The money shows me it's a different era. Like $100 million just for playing 6 years versus $200 million for 18.
Right.
So it just goes to show you that the contracts are different. There's a lot more. There's bigger money being floated around nowadays versus back then with the other NFL greats.
And that's the argument that people have though too, is because you see this team, they've fixed their defense. Their offensive line is great now, so they have to worry about getting hit so much. And for him just to, I think the fans feel like he just quit on him, which is understandable. I hear you. I understand that because it was so close to the season. They didn't give the organization time to grab somebody and stuff. But I think when you make these decisions, I mean, it just happens. You just have that day you wake up and there it is.
It's a feeling, and unfortunately, I know how the fans, right now they're like hating on him and they're booing him and like, how could you do this to the organization and us who support you every Sunday? We show up and show out, and it's not about it's not about the fans. It's not about it's him personally. He's trying to take care of himself. I know it's a hard pill to swallow because of such suddenness. There was no talk before about him possibly retiring. And now it's kind of taking everybody by shock right now.
We got Swervo Gaming watching us from YouTube. He chimes in. What's
going on, Swervo?
One of our favorites here. I understand why he retired. He got hurt, and he just wanted to protect his body. I understand that. And Swervo also says, Jacoby Brissett Nation. Yeah, I'm very supportive of Jacoby Brissett right now. He also brings up, he heard a rumor that the Colts are looking to trade for Eli Manning, but I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening either. I think that makes no sense. Again, because
all that is right there is media propaganda.
Yeah.
It's just they're trying to get a hot take. They're trying to get some stirring up the conversation and getting people all frazzled. Because now this time tomorrow. Or in the afternoon, you're gonna hear it all across New York media, and people are gonna be uprising. All the Giants fans will be like, we're getting rid of Eli. A lot of people will be like all for it. A lot of people will be against it. And just hysteria.
Well, funny is the connection they draw there is like, well, his brother played for the Colts.
So
just another Manning coming there, going to the place that his brother built. How many little brothers do you know that want to go to the place where there's a statue of your brother outside of the place, and you're going to go there and play, And if with the team the way it is, if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, they're just going to boo the daylights out of you.
Yeah, it's the house that Peyton Manning built, and you want to go play.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes no sense. And again, and what would the Giants get in return anyways? I mean, it makes no sense at all for that trade.
Not a lot. They're not going to get a lot.
I understand, like you said, the media's trying to drum that up and stuff. But let's take a look at Andrew Luck's stats. His career stats. He's got 53 wins, 33 losses. Completion percentage of 60.8, yards 23,671, 171 touchdowns to 81 interceptions. So a pretty good career. Now the thing is that people ask like what he's done so far. I mean, and how young he is. He could potentially come back if he changes his mind and goes through because he still is fairly young.
Right.
But also, where is he along the lines in quarterbacks? He had such. I mean, this is a guy who was touted to be. He was the number 1 pick overall. This was going to be the next coming of Peyton Manning.
Right. He was going to be the next great one.
And now it's cut short, and that's the sad part about it. I mean, along with like the way Calvin Johnson was and stuff. But they've even said people that have retired. They said you just know it in your heart, you feel it, and when you don't feel like the love for it anymore. Not that he didn't love the game so much. That's the argument you also hear. But he's probably mentally drained again from when you go from you're supposed to have your time off during the off season and relax with your family and stuff. Instead, now he's got to rehab again and keep doing rehabs and all these injuries. And
quite honestly, like, listen, the Indianapolis Colts, the front office, Andrew Luck himself, they know way more than we will ever know what the real details of everything all the goings-ons. So if he felt like, listen, I got to rehab this leg. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to play in the first couple of weeks to few weeks to maybe even the first month. So I think with all that compact on top of each other and trying to come back like he did last year and had a successful career, but he fought for 2 straight years trying to rehab that arm just to come back for one season, and now all of a sudden he's got to deal with something else. So it just kind of mentally just kind of just brought him down. Mentally just destroyed him in the fact that he's just sick of it. He's sick of trying to rehab instead of just going out there and playing.
Here's the list of injuries that he's had throughout his career. He had a sprained shoulder, lacerated kidney where he was peeing blood and all that.
Right.
A torn muscle damage in the ribs. He had a concussion, and a shoulder injury again,
for
which
2
put him
years.
out, like you said, over a year and a half or so. And he wasn't sure if he was even going to throw again, but luckily he came back last year and performed and did better. And then now he's got the calf strain, so I can imagine how this stuff's going to try on you and stuff. And he is a Stanford grad. He is a smart guy. He went and he got his degree from Stanford, too, before he joined the NFL. So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's got his engineering degree, so he's already set himself up for things like this to where he can just go and live a different
He
lifestyle.
can
and
have
be
a
happy
different
with it,
business. He can
which is
do whatever
fine.
he wants to do.
But as far as the fans being upset and people are being upset with the fans, I mean, I can understand, but I don't understand what people saying that it's okay so much. I mean, I can understand being upset, but the way I look at it, and I've heard different types of, things
Views
to look
and
at.
opinions, yeah.
Yeah, and way they try and rationalize it.
Right.
And the only way I can think of that's close enough is say, you remember the band 3 Days Grace?
Mm-hmm.
They were touring, and then all of a sudden the lead singer's like, I don't know whether they had to fight. I'm done with this. I'm not
Right.
doing it anymore. So they've had to cancel tour date stuff, but the fan base stuck behind that band. They end up finding another singer, and they're still touring now and doing fine. And
Doing a
there's
great
you
job,
can't
yeah.
just boo the guy. Because this is what he decided to do with his life. These are people too. They're
Right.
not just there to entertain you. And
It's
blah, blah.
right,
I mean,
and
they
it's
get
not
paid.
exactly, and their own personal decisions are not anyone else's to make. So I mean, hey, real life happens, and when these athletes, like we look at Rob Gronkowski, yeah, sure, he was another athlete that was riddled with injuries, especially his back. That was like the biggest concern coming out of Arizona, University of Arizona, out of college. A lot of teams didn't want to touch him because they were like, man, how long is he going to be able to play? Is he going to play? Because he just had surgery coming out of college on his back, which is super, intense and complex to do just one surgery. He's had multiple throughout his NFL career. And just to kind of keep the wheels going, and when that decision came, he's had a very successful career, one of the great tight ends in NFL history, but it kind of just hit him. I didn't expect him to retire yet. And he just said, you know what? My time is now. I'm going to retire. I didn't believe it when it happened, just like I didn't believe it when it was reported that Luck retired, but it happens. Guys make those decisions.
John Turner's from Facebook here. He chimes in. He says, taking calls again. I don't know, Joe. Do you want to take a call from John Turner and see what he has to say?
We could do that.
Let's do that.
We could.
Let's do it. If John, remember the number you can call in. We'll see what you have to say here about Andrew Luck. And also in a little bit, we'll be talking about the Jadeveon Clowney story and some of the trade rumors you're hearing about that. And it's interesting, because he's got that no trade clause there. So, he kind of selects in a sense of where he might be traded.
Right.
And the talk is right now is that the Dolphins are interested in doing a deal for Laremy Tunsil. How excited are you to hear that Laremy Tunsil is on the trading block? They have multiple players on the trading block.
Here's the interesting thing about all that. And there's kind of mixed signals coming out of Miami. The Dolphins themselves have also come out and said, no, we're not trading Laremy Tunsil. But then again, it's one of those things where, we're not trading him to the public. We're not letting everybody know that, but wink, wink, we might be trading him. You know what I mean? So it's like they don't want it to be known, but that in the inner circle of the NFL, they're like, hey, what do you think? You got any interest in this guy? What do you want? Give me some Give me some perspective here. What are you willing to deal here? So it's interesting with the whole Miami thing because there's several players, like you mentioned, like Rashad Jones is on the trade block. A lot of the veterans that have been around for so long that might just not fit into Brian Flores' schemes and such.
Kiko Alonso's on there.
It looks like they're going to move on from a lot of those vets. And Laremy Tunsil is interesting because what kind of compensation do you have to give up just to get a left tackle like Laremy Tunsil, a young guy too?
Yeah.
So usually the younger they are, the higher the price may be. We'll have to wait and see how that all works out.
John Turner wants to know the number. It's 518-860-4550, right?
There you go.
There you go.
Nail on the head.
There you go. 860-455-0.
Act now while supplies last.
Yes, yeah.
Call in.
Yeah.
$19.99.
Sorry if I feel
Buy
under
one,
the
get
weather.
one.
I don't feel very good, but we're keeping the show going.
Power through.
And
let's go.
I want to bring up the fact that we have last week's show MVP, the Pokey fella here.
That's right.
He joined us last year, so he made the MVP status of last week's show.
Yeah.
And so we're keeping it interesting here. A lot of people chiming in and
here's the
making
call.
the MVP. Here we go.
John, welcome to Football on the Know once again.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. How was your week?
Pretty good. I'm feeling
well.
under the weather today, but besides that, everything's fine. How's your week?
I haven't had a bad day in years.
Yes. There you go. You said that last week, and I've been checking out some of your group that you're part of. There's a lot of interesting conversations there and stuff like that. It's good to see some people keeping the chatter around in interesting posts.
Well, you do what you love. You love what you do. Wake up grateful, energetic, eager to learn something new. So, look, you guys were talking about Laramie Tunsil. This is the guy that's smoking through the gas mask
right.
the 5 minutes before the draft, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, real atom splitter down there in Miami. Here's the deal. There is about, in my opinion, 64 players across the league total that are untradeable. Everybody else is on the block until week 9.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You know what I mean? You half the teams hit on their first rounders and second rounders, and the other half don't, and vice versa. And year by year, this same number kicks over. So that's about what? That's 2 players per team per year, and what does that add up to? That's 64 players. So every year you've got an influx of 33% of the league, rotating, playing musical chairs basically with free agency. And this sounds like what, year 4 in Laramie Tunsil's contract at this point. So that means it's either year 5 option or let's get something while we can, because we ain't bringing this cat back here. So the reality is all these guys that don't have this 5th-year option are on the block. I think he's a left tackle. He's their left tackle at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. New England's looking for a guy. They reached out to Washington. Washington thought they were going to outsmart New England. Wrong. Okay. They went out and traded for a Baltimore guy, a swingman that can play tackle and guard. Here's my little prediction there. That guy from Baltimore is going to go to New England, Mr. Mad Scientist Genius up there, and he's going to move one of his own guards over to center, which they just lost for the year. And this guy's going to do behind the 2 starting guards they got, and they're not going to miss a beat. You know why? Because they're the Patriots, and they prepare better than everybody. But Jadeveon Clowney, there was rumors, him for Trent Williams straight up. Well, I guess both of those teams are too stupid to do that deal. Evidently, Clowney likes Miami. Miami likes him, but he likes Philadelphia, and he likes Seattle. Of course, you like the teams that win. Everybody wants to win. And he knows he's probably due for another decent chunk of a contract. So, I don't know. There's going to be some movement here as the deadline gets going, and with the XFL coming, guys, I don't know what you guys think about it, but it's going to make these cut down days and trade deadlines a whole hell of a lot more interesting. Because Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, some of these guys that are just trying to make the team, they have the XFL they can fall on. As far as other guys that are cap casualties that have had the experience, I don't know so much if they would be going to the XFL. But, like young guys that are just trying to make a team and a squad, I could see them going to the XFL.
Well, there's a guy cut about a day or 2 ago named David Fales, I believe.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see that name turn up. This Luis Perez just got signed up with Detroit. They're not going to keep him. He's just a weak 4 body, to keep the starter string from getting hurt. They don't care if they get him hurt because he's only getting paid, a cup of coffee and enough gas money to get back out of town. So, with that being said, even some of these fringe guys, these veteran, casualties that find themselves on the street. Oh, think of a guy like Adrian Peterson that sat around for a year and nobody wanted him. All right. And then up calls the Washington Redskins, the worst functioning franchise in the league. He goes, I'll take the money. and then he shows up and shows that he can still play. That's going to happen in the XFL, whether a lot of people think so or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these cuts are going to become, and these types of trades are going to become a little bit more important. And it might turn out to kind of look like what the NBA does when they re-sign a guy and then trade him. Okay, because that's very common in that league, which is also a bad business. However, that's what they do.
All right, so do you see Jadeveon Clowney playing for the Texans this year, or do you think they do figure out a trade and he goes somewhere like Seattle or the Eagles he was looking into?
He's not going to stay in Houston. One thing is for sure, Houston they do a pretty good job of loading up on the line typically, although I just said that their offensive line is ranked 31 out of 32 professional NFL teams. So thank God their quarterback can move. However, with that being said, they're pretty good on that side of the ball. There's some guy named JJ that's pretty good at football, and there's some guys playing behind him that are good enough to make the line look real good. So with that being said, they don't need him. I think he's probably been a little bit of a basket case or a mouth or has trouble listening to authority. For whatever apparent reason, his name is being floated out there. And when they float your name out there, you're out of there. Who was it? Dwayne Brown a couple years ago they did that too?
Right.
And we all thought he was a stud left tackle. And guess what? Hit the bricks, pal. You are going out. Like Baldwin on Glenn Ross. So, you either produce and produce the way we want you to produce, or if you're not a team player, we're going to find a nice place for you to take your attitude to. All right, so Philadelphia has shown they're able to deal with those types of guys. Seahawks have dealt with those types of guys. And, of course, there's the Doc Mad Genius up in Boston. He knows how to deal with those types of guys. So smart money would bet on one of these teams got to make moves. Here's a wild card for you. How about them LA Rams? They like pulling the trigger on a one more piece. Needed to complete the puzzle. So
and it all depends with money too, because he wants to get paid. And so what's going to happen when it comes down to it? Is he going to get paid what he wants, or something similar, or what? So it's a continuing thing with that saga with Jadeveon Clowney. But thanks, John Turner. We appreciate you calling in and giving your insight about Jadeveon Clowney. We'll see what happens forward.
Thank you. Have a great one.
All right, thanks.
Thanks you too, John.
All right, there's John Turner chiming in again. 2 weeks in a row. Who knows? Maybe he could be our show MVP at one point. Who knows?
Could be.
Checking in. Swervo Gaming is here with us. He wants to talk fantasy now. He's saying, I'm helping my friend draft tonight. PPR league. Pick 6. Who you thinking? That's
PPR?
Sixth right now. So he's in the middle of the pack.
So most likely Alvin Kamara's gone. Christian McCaffrey's gone. Usually around pick 6 is where you start to see like DeAndre Hopkins go. That's the kind of direction that I would head. Because it's PPR. I mean, here, you take a shot. You get one of the elite receivers in this game, and DeAndre Hopkins, a guy that can catch just about anything you throw at him, even the kitchen sink. That's where PPR, I would think.
Yeah, a guy who definitely gets the targets. You want somebody who's going to be getting targets all day
definitely.
On certain offenses.
And running backs is key in the first round, but they're not
so many
everything.
Question marks though around this
because
one,
even like a DeAndre Hopkins, and I know some people are going to push up Juju Smith-Schuster as one, maybe a possible first rounder, but I just don't see it because we have to wait and see like how that offense is going to run now that it is basically. He's now the number 1 wide receiver now, so all eyes are on him. Let's see what he can do come week 1. And so I'm not like super high on Juju, but I am like you could probably pick him up in the 2nd or 3rd round if you're lucky. But DeAndre Hopkins is who I want right now at pick 6.
Yeah,
if he's available, that's who I would draft right now.
Yeah, you want a guy that's going to get the receptions and put up points every week. And he's been solid.
He's always there. So, or even you could. I mean, you look at Julio Jones. I mean, he's another guy that you could utilize there.
And
Barkley's gone. He's like the number 1 pick this year,
probably. Yeah.
So I mean that's kind of what I would. I would just target players that you like that have high reception value, because those are the ones that are going to be utilized more in an offense, and they're gonna do well for you in your PPR.
Yeah, it's an interesting year here because of the Zeke holdout with the Melvin Gordon holdout.
Yep.
So those guys where are they going to fall?
Those guys are falling down the
So
charts
where
right
is
now.
he? So will you be able to get a value pick with him? I know somebody picked Le'Veon Bell last year, like first overall, and it ended up being you did too. He ended up getting. James Conner
Didn't play.
and stuff like that end up working out for
Didn't
him.
play.
But, I mean, you don't know. So some people are automatically drafting both guys, just like a backup and, the starter who might be holding out, like Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. You never know because you don't know how long he's going to be, and you got backup.
And that's the thing. I just drafted it, and I had pick 7.
Mm-hmm.
So at pick 7 for me, Hopkins never got to me. Julio Jones was there,
out there.
But I figure, you know what? I already had kept, because I'm in a keeper league, so I'm allowed to keep one player. I kept Adam Thielen from last year, reception monster. So I have him. So in the first round, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. A lot of receivers were gone. Juju was there. But I'm like, man, I don't know. Is he going to be a reception guy? I don't think so. So I ended up picking Tyreek Hill. Now, Tyreek Hill, he is the offense.
Yeah, he will get
Patrick
the reception.
Mahomes
There's a nice
looks,
one, too, if he happens to be here.
And I listen, I get Travis Kelce is a juggernaut of a tight end. He's going to get his
He's
things.
red
But the
zone
next
a lot,
biggest
too.
guy, if not the biggest guy in that Kansas City offense, is Tyreek Hill is going to get a lot of catches. So.
There you go. Mike Tackett just picked up Lamar Miller and Andrew Luck in back-to-back picks in my fantasy draft. Hashtag the champ is here. Yeah, I know. Imagine now. This is why we always.
Here's the thing. Right.
Why we
Go
always
ahead.
say right here.
Go ahead.
You
Definitely.
always wait till like the final week before the season starts to do your draft because everybody wants. They're so excited to get into doing fantasy
Absolutely.
football drafts. I
Absolutely.
understand. It's
Yeah.
exciting. Not to me anymore, but for some people. And you want to get it done. I understand. But look what happens, especially with the last couple of years, all the injuries and everything, and the holdouts. I mean, the holdouts are the big guys. So
Right.
you don't know what's going on.
You
and
don't
stuff
know.
like that. So
And that's the
you
thing.
play it by ear, and you're not sure, and you can't do that sometimes with.
What's up,
fantasy.
Ty?
Hey, Ty Hedgecock is
What's
in the
up,
house.
brother?
Ty.
Welcome to the show,
Yeah, Ty's in the house.
Mike.
Awesome. Mike Tackett's here. Awesome. It's a party here.
Swervo Gaming, John, everybody, all the comrades are here.
All right, so we're talking Jadeveon Clowney talk and Andrew Luck retiring and stuff. Pretty interesting topics and a shocker for Andrew Luck. But you know, I wish him the best, and
Definitely.
I think he did nothing wrong here. If your time is up, your time is up. Ty says I draft the
There you go.
day before game 1 of the season. There you go. Now that's really holding it out right to the end.
You
But-
know, and that's something because not a lot. And here's the thing too about fantasy drafts is if you're the commissioner, you're trying to get everybody to work together and all come together. Like if you're doing an in-person draft
or online.
If you're doing an in-person draft, you got to like organize everybody. Hey, everybody be here Friday night, 5:00, whatever the time may be. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. People, I've had a person quit in my
The night
league
before.
the night before the draft.
Yeah, it happens. Some people.
And
you just can't
within
get them.
an hour, I managed to find just somebody to take the place of them.
That's good.
It was absolutely insane. So I
That's
was just
good.
like, it's terrible.
I keep getting asked all the time, but I keep
Yeah. Hey,
saying,
Jim,
I'm stern.
you want in
Keep
on the
saying-
league?
No. See, it's not
See?
easy. No, I'm done with
For
that.
a guy that loves football,
I'm like Andrew
he doesn't
Luck.
like fantasy.
I'm Andrew Luck. I'm tired of the heartache, and mentally I'm drained from fantasy football, so I'm not doing it anymore. So, all right, so let's bring up, talk about injuries and stuff. Let's go to our in the know fact of the day, Joe. I've got an interesting fact for us here.
What do you got for us?
It's long, holy moly, but it's really cool though. It's really cool because everybody is up in arms about the changes of rules and here, there, and everything and stuff. Mind you, this stuff's happened before. 1974 was a marquee moment in NFL history. And people don't know some of this, especially the young people that don't understand. They're like, oh, you're changing the game because it's entertainment now. Well, look at here. Sweeping rule changes were adopted by the NFL in 1974 to add action and tempo to games. One sudden death overtime period was added for preseason and regular season games. That's when the sudden death kicked in. The goalposts, they used to be in front. Now the goal line, they used to be on the goal line, and now they moved to the end lines now. So where you see the goalposts now weren't always there. In 74, they changed them.
Right.
All right. Kickoffs were moved from the 40 hash to the 35 hash line. After missed field goals from beyond the 20, the ball was returned to the line of scrimmage. They didn't do that before. So all these rules that you know as traditional football all happened in 1974. Imagine what it was like before. Here, roll blocking and cutting of wide receivers was eliminated. The extent of downfield contact a defender could have with an eligible receiver was restricted. The penalties for offensive holding, illegal use of hands, and tripping were reduced from 15-yard penalties to 10-yard penalties. So 1974 was a critical and pivotal moment here in the NFL to what most people nowadays know is the traditional rules of the NFL. And, and they're worried about changing it for, it's all entertainment now and you're going to mess it up and everything. Right. And that's what you care about. Well, they cared about it in 1974. And look at the amazing rules that they've done, things to help the game.
I think one of the biggest and most critical ones was moving the field goal post from the goal line to the back of the end zone, because I've seen footage of guys running into that post. I mean, 100% speed, like as fast as they can run, going to try to catch a ball. Guess what? They don't see they're looking back.
Yeah,
they're looking back for the ball. They're like, I got it. Ping.
Yeah, and that's like the automatic pick play right there for everybody.
And I'm telling you right now, we think that there was a lot of concussion reports now with that flag, with that post there. I'm pretty sure all those went undocumented.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, all right, I've split it up tonight. We're going to be doing something different. We're going to do the NFC East review and predictions first. Then we're going to take a break with the drop and then go back to it afterwards so we could split it up. It is our last time doing the reviews and predictions quick.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting here because, again, injuries, people holding out. No Melvin Gordon for the Chargers, and Derwin James ended up getting banged up. So those are major guys that are. And
that's the thing, too,
is
when – I mean, I'm sorry, but I have to take it back to fantasy real quick.
Yeah.
Is Zeke and Melvin, when should you draft these guys? Because we really still have no clue when they're coming back, if they're coming back. Well, I say if, but we all know they're coming back, but in what form? Melvin Gordon has said, you know what? If you can't get a deal done with me, trade me. You know what I mean? So does Melvin Gordon end up on a different team, which completely changes your outlook on the guy, because now how's he going to adapt to that offense? And I don't think anybody's going to go anywhere. But, again, it comes all into the question of when do we get to see those guys on the field? So in fantasy terms, it's like, listen, you can't pick them too high. You can't. You got to fight the urge. I know some people are going to be like, well, Melvin Gordon is right there in the third round. I got to take this guy. Hold on. I have no idea when this guy's coming back. Same thing with Zeke. Zeke's up in the air too. Yes, I believe both those guys will be back with their clubs, but we just don't know when for sure. There's no official word. So you kind of got to play the game. So when you're doing your draft and you're watching how the draft unfolds, listen, I went early with wide receivers my last draft. This past weekend, we had a draft. So I went, bang, bang, wide receiver in the beginning. And then I'm like, I need running back. Well, a lot of people are overlooking Leonard Fournette right now. A lot of people are frustrated with his injuries, and is he going to be able to play and last the whole season? I got faith in him this year because I think he's on a completely different – he's on a warpath right now. He's actually publicly stated that he's in the best shape of his life. He's back into his college weight when he first entered.
Yep.
And he's gotten rid of the bad element around him. So, I got some positive spin on Leonard Fournette, so I took him. Now there's my running back one. Now the draft goes a little farther in. I think I waited till like the 6th or 7th round, and I'm like, Melvin Gordon's still there. Don't know when he's coming. I'll take Melvin Gordon. But if you take these guys, make sure you can get their handcuff. I got Austin Eckler way later. So now I'm covered. So now either way, if Gordon comes back for week 1, I got a steal. If Gordon holds out, I got Eckler, who's honestly can start for the Chargers. He's not nobody to overlook here. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He can run. He can do it all. Mm-hmm. So make sure if you're going to take a chance on Zeke or Melvin Gordon that you do definitely get their handcuff later on in the draft at some point.
Yeah, and the funny thing is you never know because the funny thing to say with Zeke is he has a little bit of leverage because he is their offense. They work well around him, the running game. There you go. Get it done. So if they start to struggle, he's got a little more leverage maybe where they're like, all right, let's get it done, come back, because they want to try and make the playoffs again.
Right.
And when the division's weak right now, kind of. So they want to strike. Now, also, though, he also is set, and he's stubborn enough to say, I'll sit the whole year. I really don't care. And maybe he would. Because he does have a little bit of that leverage. The one with me that's funny is Melvin Gordon. It's like he's got to come back because, bro, you're not making that much now, and you haven't shown us much, and you're trying to ask for the world. It's like the Jadeveon Clowney thing. Maybe who knows? Maybe we will see Melvin Gordon traded, but again, his value is low right now.
But I'll take it a step further. I think both of them got to come back.
Yeah,
Zeke. I'm sorry, Zeke is right in the smack middle of his deal. He still has 2 years left on his current deal, plus a 5th-year team option to keep him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, right now is not the time to try to play hard-nosed and say, I'm going to hold out and you guys got to pay me top dollar. Listen, the Cowboys came out with an offer already. They offered him I think it's a pretty good deal. He's not the highest-paid running back, but he's second. He's between Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley right now. So that contract offer on average per year is smack in the middle between Le'Veon Bell's $13.1 million and Todd Gurley's $14.5 million. Mm-hmm. So he's getting paid. I mean, that's a huge raise. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you're not the number one guy, but still, I think the Cowboys are trying to say, hey, we do value you a lot. We want you to stay with us long term. Here's a good offer. No, I want to be highest paid. Come on. Mm-hmm. It's like Dak turning down $30 million per year. It's
that's
come on.
different. That's crazy though.
I'm sorry,
but that's a lot. Melvin Gordon or Zeke.
I'm sorry, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And in an era where running back is undervalued, which usually doesn't get the big money unless you're elite. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good deal from the Cowboys, especially their first offer.
Mm-hmm. All right, so first off, we're going to be talking NFC East review and predictions. We're looking at the Arizona Cardinals now. This is a team here that last year needed wide receivers so much that Christian Kirk was their rookie, and he was doing pretty well for him for what you could say. But Josh Rosen was running for his life, and almost a pick machine, so much that people were just doubting him. But they got to realize how bad the line was, and they just keyed up on David Johnson. So basically that was their game plan, tee up on David Johnson, pressure Josh Rosen, and there you go. So it's tough. Now they go and get Kyler Murray, number 1 overall. It's a Cliff Kingsbury guy. You've got him there now instead of Steve Wilkes. He was good for 1 year, and he
already knows his offense.
Yeah, yep. And so he's got the perfect guy working for him here. But it is a tough division here where you've got the LA Rams who went to the Super Bowl last year. And the 49ers now back with Jimmy G. He doesn't look so hot right now, but you've got them and the Seahawks who I can't doubt I'm in awe as long as you got Russell Wilson there now. So what do you think about the Arizona Cardinals?
Rebuild mode. I mean, that's where they're at right now. They're trying to establish and try to get as many talented pieces on this roster as possible. But here's where it all starts. Jim just mentioned Josh Rosen running for his life. They kind of overhauled this offensive line. They still have their first-round draft pick in DJ Humphries from 2015, still holding it down at left tackle spot. They bring in a few veteran free agents in Justin Pugh to play guard, Mason Cole, who was a third-round pick from the Cardinals. He's going to lock down center. From Seattle, J.R. Sweezy. He's a decent and viable guard. He's going to plug in at right side. And they pull off a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers to nab their right tackle in Marcus Gilbert. So overall, I mean, they just went out and changed everything but the left tackle. Mm-hmm. So they're hoping that by making these moves, this is going to give a very secure offensive line and help give their rookie not only protection, but give him time to evaluate the field and get rid of the ball. And on top of the offensive line, they are a lot of weapons and a lot of youth. You see a lot of young guys. We all know Larry Fitzgerald. decided to come back for yet another year. One of the greatest receivers that we've been able to witness in the NFL. But a lot of young guys, Andy Isabella, rookie, I mean, this kid, I'm super high on this kid. 2nd-round pick. He's super fast. He's got great hands, runs great routes. This kid's going to be dynamite, and I think it's going to happen even in his rookie year. It's going to be like a coming out party for him. What's very upsetting is that Hakeem Butler, another receiver that I was very high on, I was really looking forward to see play this year. Unfortunately, he's going to IR. He won't be playing because he injured his hand, which that's critical, right? You got to catch the ball. Here's the other interesting thing is Michael Crabtree.
Yeah.
He came, visited with Arizona, left without a deal, said, nah, you're not offering me enough. Ends up coming back and signs a 1-year deal because they cut Kevin White.
Yeah.
A guy that's been on the Bears roster for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, something crazy like that, and he hasn't even done any. I think he's played in 3 games his whole career, all out of all 5 seasons. So here's a guy who just keeps getting injured, and he got injured again in Arizona. His hamstring that keeps lingering. You know what? You only get so many chances, Kevin, and I think this was his last chance. Now he's done. He's cut. They end up signing Michael Crabtree, a veteran wideout, to go with Larry Fitz, to go with these younger guys like Christian Kirk. And here another thing, too, is tight end. Tight end was a big weakness last year. They kind of like, bubble gum and duct tape with Ricky Seals-Jones last year. Did an adequate job, was fine, but they still need more weapons there. They end up going to pick up Charles Clay. Well, we all know the story behind that. He's just not going to be on the field. He'll be injured again.
Yeah.
So maybe it looks like Ricky's going to have to take that job back over again. In defense, here's where it gets interesting because you start to see a lot of vets on this defense. You start to see guys that are familiar faces in different places right now. Terrell Suggs comes over from Baltimore. He's going to help lock down that kind of 3-4 outside linebacker role, rush off the edge. Chandler Jones is still there. Chandler Jones is still productive. He's going to play that other linebacker spot on the strong side. Inside, returning back from an injury, Hassan Reddick. He was in 2017. He got drafted 1st round, got injured, coming back now yet again. I think he's a very, very good linebacker, and for him to be kind of counterpart with Jordan Hicks, who also comes over from the Eagles, this linebacking core is looking pretty scary, on paper. And then you still have reliable Patrick Peterson, a guy that's kind of said, maybe I'll hang around. Yeah. I mean, this guy has been so confusing this offseason. I want to be traded.
You never know.
I don't want to be traded.
You don't know.
No, I'm all about the Cardinals. I'm just confused by him. DJ Swearinger at safety. I don't know why this guy goes from team to team.
Yeah.
He's a dynamite safety. He can cover. He can hit you over the middle. He's devastating. To pair him up with Budda Baker, a young Budda Baker, I think this team, this defense, on paper, I'm telling you, like if they get the chemistry just right, this team is going to do some damage on defense. And then you also have Tremaine Brock to play the other corner. As of right now, I'm not really high on that. I'm kind of questioning now that other spot opposite Patrick Peterson. It's a big hole right now. So I think they're going to get picked on a lot of times on that one side. And if you can prevent from these really good pass rushers up front to get to not, if you can protect long enough, you could probably eat this team up on the one side. That has to remain to be seen. But all in all, they got a young rookie in Byron Murphy who kind of got tested a little bit last week. Did a very good job, so I'm hoping that maybe he can win that job across Patrick Peterson's side. If that happens, I'm just saying they're they're going to be an underrated defense that might surprise a lot of people. Offensively, they have Kyler Murray. He's a rookie. We've seen pretty bad moments in preseason with Kyler Murray, not making the throws, rushing some things. But here's the thing. I know a lot of people get upset. This goes the same thing for Jimmy G. There's no game planning going on for these other teams. They're not game planning for the opponent. They're playing very vanilla offenses, very basic stuff, and they're not going to show anything. I think by week 1, you're going to see all these teams across the NFL. You're going to see you're going to see their real playbooks finally, and then we might be able to make a judgment on these players. I mean, whether they have a good preseason or not. Everything changes week 1.
All right, we'll see. And then we've got the San Francisco 49ers who, like you just said, you got Jimmy G back, but in practice he threw 5 interceptions, and then in the preseason game he threw a couple too as well. So he doesn't look so hot as far as everybody's so used to the they're so quick to bring him up and then they're so quick to tear him down.
Right.
He won 6 in a row,
right.
So now he's the next coming of Tom Brady and everything. And look what they're doing. They're breeding wide receiver or quarterbacks in New England.
Right.
And so, he's on fire, but now he's slowing down a little bit. But the interesting part, we've always talked about it during the offseason here, is the running back situation where they're absolutely loaded. Interested to see what they're going to do here. And if some other teams that are out there, they're kind of looking for one. Now, they brought up Lamar Miller here. Mike Tackett brought up here. Mm-hmm. He's down. Do they look at one of these guys that end up just being a roster cut here?
I mean,
fine.
To be honest, I mean, why not? You have to. I mean, we're talking about it now. I bet you they've already had a phone call conversation already. I bet you they've already reached out to other teams saying, hey, our boy Lamar went down. We do have Duke Johnson that we just pulled off a trade for. So if you're in fantasy, just saying, if you can get Duke Johnson a little bit later in the draft, right now he's slotted to be the starter. So, and we all know that he catches out of the backfield very well, just like a wide receiver. But here's the thing. With the Niners having all these running backs, Tevin Coleman, nobody knows, even to this day, nobody has any clue who the starter is going to be. There's been reports that Tevin Coleman's going to be the starter. There's been reports that Jerick McKinnon, if he's healthy, is going to take that spot back over. And then Matt Breida. You got to talk about Matt Breida. He held it down pretty darn well when he got the opportunity.
Yeah.
And same thing with Ryan, Mostert.
Mostert, yeah, everybody's favorite name.
I like to call him Ryan Mustard.
Yeah, everybody
does. But that's the thing. They have so much talent. They can afford to trade away easily any one of these guys. And then it just comes a matter to compensation. How much they can get. Could they get a 3rd-round pick for any one of these guys? Could they get something as a value, as a high value maybe? We all know they're not going to trade Tevin. They just signed that guy. And I think if I had to guess, I think Tevin would be the starter because Jerick McKinnon isn't 100% yet. He came back to practice, but I heard out of San Fran that he had a little bit of a setback recently, which is concerning. And I think that's why they brought in a guy like Tevin Coleman, because if there was issues with that recovery, that they would still be able to lean on Tevin and company, Matt Breida. Also,
that's the
Here's the thing that I would do. I think Matt Breida has shown enough that he can play in this league. I think Matt Breida would be an excellent candidate to try to trade right now. I think they still want to hold on to McKinnon because they saw how great of production he had when he was first there. And if you could team up Tevin and Jerick McKinnon, that's one
probably
hell
the
of a
game
handcuff.
plan. Again, you saw how Tevin Coleman worked with Devonta Freeman,
right?
As a 1-2 tandem. I'm sure that's what they're looking to, a 1-2-3 possibly over there in San Francisco.
They're super deep. What can you say?
Yeah, and the one thing, too, you're looking for Dante Pettis to take another step forward this year now as one of their starters. Marcus Goodwin as a wide receiver here, too, as well. So they've got a lot of youth here, wide receiver. It's interesting there, and they have a little bit of a turnaround on the offensive line, too, as well. I mean, they've picked up Ben Garland. You got Mike Pearson. And Joe Staley's still there. How about that? The ageless Joe Staley.
He resigned.
Yeah.
He just had an extension for after this year. So that's incredible.
And George Kittle, the WWE master, he came out, had a coming out party last year, was lights out. And it was funny. He's like one of their only weapons that they kind of had. How are you not covering this guy? He would just get open.
It's hard.
And, so it's going to be exciting to see what they do there. But also on the defense, they go and get that signing of Dee Ford. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't want to do it.
They traded for him.
Yep. So they go and get Dee Ford, and I mean that's going to help out on that defense here, where the defense that was already pretty stout as it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately they go and grab Joey Bosa. It was at number 2 overall, I think. he comes
Nick
up with
Bosa.
Nick Bosa. Yep. Nick Bosa. He has the injuries, and so we'll see what happens with them there. But the 49ers, we get a different look of them. Minus Blaine Gabbert and all that other nonsense. We get to see Jimmy G, hopefully, for a full season. So let's see what happens going forward with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of the defense here, this is the thing. The front seven of this team is going to be scary to face week to week. When you look at what they pulled off a trade for D Ford, they have Sheldon Day. A lot of people don't even know who Sheldon Day is, but I've seen him play for Jacksonville Jaguars. The guy is a beast inside. He's going to be paired up right with DeForest Buckner, and next to him is Eric Armstead coming back at the end. I mean, look at that line right there. And we're not even talking about Nick Bosa. Mm-hmm. Nick Bosa, number 1 overall pick from Ohio State. Here's the problem with Nick, though, is coming out of college, a lot of concerns with injuries. And we've seen it already in preseason. And this is just preseason. These are drills. These are walkthroughs. Nothing crazy like the season. When the regular season hits, that's when it really gets physical. Every single week. You're practicing throughout the week. You're playing a game. You get beat up. You're sore. You still got to go through the grind and practice again. Another game the following week. This is where, if Bosa's having a problem right now staying on the field, he's got hamstring pulls left and right, and there's got to be some growing concern right now in San Fran saying, I don't know, are we going to be able to use this kid? Mm-hmm. I mean, don't listen, talent-wise, off the charts. I think he's going to be even better than Joey Bosa's brother. But he's got to stay on the field. That's the one important thing. And so far he's struggling to do so. So that's got to be a concern for the Niners. But overall, I mean, look, you got Quan Alexander coming over from Tampa Bay on that linebacking core. You have a lot of younger guys that no one's even going to really know. But Elijah Lee, he's kind of won that job right now. They cut Malcolm Smith because they have that confidence in him. Fred Warner, I mean, you're not going to really know these guys, but tune in and watch this defense. If you're able to, you're going to see these guys start to make some plays. And everyone's favorite cornerback, Richard Sherman. This guy,
like
I don't know how he stays on this team.
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand he just signed that deal or whatever, but, man, he just gives up yardage. I don't know how that's going to continue. And they do bring in Jason Verrett from the Chargers, a guy that has yet to even play a full season. Talent-wise, really good corner, very good cover corner. But again, he's another guy who we just kind of wait and see when he gets injured because we just expect it now. So I think if he can manage to stay healthy, it's going to definitely help the secondary of this defense and kind of strengthen it and give some offenses some hassle week to week. But I just wanted to go back to the offense real quick and say, not a lot of people are talking about this kid, but Jalen Hurd. Jalen Hurd, very high out of college. I love this dude. I think he's going to make some waves in the NFL. So I'd watch out for that. Everybody keeps talking about Deebo Samuel. He's doing great in preseason. But Jalen Hurd, this dude stays healthy. I mean, I think he's going to be a gem for the 49ers.
We got Greg Schreiner in the house. He says, I tune into you guys so I can get to know these names. Yeah, definitely. We're trying to bring up other people that might be up and coming. People don't really talk about right now. And, to look forward to. That's why we're doing this review, kind of, and then we'll see what happens and where it lays out. So, San Francisco 49ers, a different look for them. Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens going forward for them. Now let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks again, to where they had a fire sale last year, and I wasn't sure they were going to do anything. Surprisingly enough.
Sell.
Yeah,
Clearance.
They did it alone. All they needed, they didn't even have Doug Baldwin. I mean, you had Tyler Lockett and company. Now you've got Jerron Brown here. They added in. So, I mean, it's a whole different look here for the Seattle Seahawks, and they get rid of a few guys too, also on defense. So we're getting a different look here. They draft L.J. Collier here in the first round here at DN, so that'd be good on the edge here for him. And K.J. Rice, still the veteran there, and Bobby Wagner, who's a 99 in Madden's amount too. I mean, he's good, but I want to give him 99 status.
Right.
So another tough defense here for the Seattle Seahawks in a division to where it's been lately the Los Angeles Rams taking it here. Do they have enough to take the crown?
You know what? I think they're going to be competitive. We'll just say that. I mean, my opinion, they surprised the hell out of me last year. I thought for sure after dealing this guy away, trading that guy away, cutting Richard Sherman, whatever moves they made, it seemed like they were kind of rebuilding. They were like, oh, you know what? We're going to hit the reset button. We're gonna still ride with Pete Carroll. We're gonna add some new pieces, and maybe in a couple years we'll be back in contention.
Yeah.
But they shocked the hell out of me. I mean, they played great last season despite the turnover, despite the guys that they were missing. A lot of veteran presence.
Dismantled completely.
Yeah. The Legion of Boom is all said and done. But it's going to be interesting this year because. I'm sorry, but you can't replace Frank Clark with L.J. Collier. He was, the Horned Frog. I just don't think from Texas Christian. I don't know how good he's going to be able to adapt to this NFL. I don't know. He was targeted as a first-round pick. Was picked in the first round. But I don't know. I think he still needs work. He's a little bit raw, and I got some concerns with this kid. I think he could develop into something special. But as of right now, when you got him on one side and you have Cassius Marsh, I mean, this guy's been on a couple different teams. He's been on the 49ers. He originally was with Seattle, goes to 49ers, comes back to Seattle. They're desperate right now on that D-line. That's what this shows me. They have Earl Mitchell. They got Poona Ford. Anybody hear of Poona before? No? No, because this defensive line, I think, is going to be a problem. For Seattle, I think they're going to struggle with holding everybody up, getting pressure, stopping the run. The only guys that are going to be able to make plays is Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. Those guys are still vets. Those guys are still, Bobby Wagner just re-signed a deal to lock him up for the long term. So linebacking core-wise, I think they're set. They're straight.
Yep.
Secondary, they got a couple of nice pieces. Shaq Griffin.
Yep.
And right now they got Trey Flowers. I don't know. It doesn't strike fear into me. But if at all anything is Seattle, what they're really good at is finding those undrafted free agents that come out of nowhere and ball out. So you look at some of the guys. Like Brad McDougal last year, guy was an undrafted free agent, came in. So now he's the starting safety, and he's not just a starting safety; he's really good. So if they can find talent, which I'm pretty confident that they will, maybe they can find somebody to fill some of these holes. But in the front half, though, that's what concerns me. That's why they brought in a guy like Al Woods, a longtime vet from the Colts. He played a little bit with the Titans. Ziggy Ansah.
Yeah.
He's another new addition to this team to help with that pass rush. But how long is this guy going to be on the field?
Yeah.
You look at him in Detroit, he averaged per season, 9 games he would play.
Yeah.
Half the season, then he'd be injured.
That's why he didn't get re-signed there.
Right.
So
on
the franchise tag.
It's got to be concerning right now for them on the defensive side. Offensively, let's face it, we all know this. It's Russell Wilson or bust.
Yeah.
That's why this guy is getting paid what he's getting paid, because they know he's the backbone of this offense. He's the guy that makes plays. Here's the thing is they're already starting to lose receivers. They're already starting to lose weapons. Tyler Lockett, a little banged up. David Moore now is trying to come back from an injury. He's getting lower on the depth chart now. David Moore was a surprise receiver last year. He kind of made a name for himself last season. Now he's hurt. DK Metcalf. Everybody wants to talk about DK from college. Is he the number 1 overall receiver? Problem is he's not good at running routes.
Yeah.
I think Seattle fans, you might see him in practice and say, wow, this guy is
a burner.
He's amazing. Yeah. He's just he's cooking everybody. He's doing this, he's doing that, making phenomenal catches. Yeah, you will see that. However, when week 1 hits, when defenses are really starting to play, game plan wise and locking I think he's going to have a hard time creating separation from the routes. He's got blazing speed. So straight line speed, maybe he could cook somebody. But I think when it comes to route running, to get open that way. I think he's going to struggle. So this team, I think, is offensively right now, it's not as good as it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
But if all these guys manage to get healthy and back into it, they could emerge late in the season.
And they were in the top running offenses in the league, which is kind of funny
because
because at one point it seemed like Russell Wilson was trying to explain to him where to run and stuff like that, but they figured it out. They had some injuries here and there, but Chris Carson, he's high on a lot of people's draft boards for fantasy football even too.
Yeah, he
so
is.
look out for that and see what the Seattle Seahawks can do. And finally, moving on in the NFC West, we've got the Los Angeles Rams, who went to the Super Bowl last year. They get Cooper Kupp back, Joe. We have a Cooper Kupp sighting. He is back.
Finally.
Yeah,
That's
so we
my
get
boy.
to see him, Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds last year. He was the surprise little guy, thrown in there in the mix with the different plays that Sean McVay does. Jet sweeps, getting everybody involved. And Andrew Whitworth, he was a big commodity. A lot of people have been asking about him, you know what I mean? And that was big for them. And the thing is, on defense here, they go and grab Clay Matthews here, who is on his retirement role, I guess, or something like that on his defense.
He's got his AARP card.
Yeah, I didn't know why. He's like doing like a New England Patriots ride the curtails. Maybe I could get a Super Bowl ring out of this, it seems like. And I don't understand the signing. Like, I don't think they really need somebody like that. I mean, they've got Dante Fowler Jr. here, too, which it was from Jacksonville. Hopefully he can play every single down here and be productive for them. They did lose Joyner, went to the Raiders, which I think is a big issue there too, because he was great seeing the vision of where plays were going to run. He'd stop the run if he had to. He'd drop back coverage. He just had great recognition for the plays. You're going to miss a little bit of that, but their team here that's still the same type of high offense here. Todd Gurley on limited reps, maybe. Who knows? They said he's going to change on what they're going to do here. We finally will get to see what maybe Todd Gurley can do here. What do you think about the Rams?
That's the funny thing is, as I've been like trying to like follow the Rams and trying to gauge a little bit more into what that means, like limited reps. I don't know.
For the highest paid running back.
To be honest with you, I don't see him. Listen, I'm hearing that he is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He is his knee is not an issue anymore. I'm hearing that Todd Gurley's in great, he's in good graces. He feels good. He looks good on the field. I think right now maybe the limited snaps is just because it's the offseason. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why it was reported. I know they're saying also it's going to go into the regular season, but I think they're just taking it easy on him for right now. I think you're going to see a Todd Gurley that's going to be used. Now, here's the thing. Maybe as they get towards the red zone, maybe goal line touches. Maybe they're not going to utilize him as much and kind of try to bang him in there. Maybe they give it to a Malcolm Brown. Maybe give it to a John Kelly, somebody like that, or Darrell Henderson, the rookie. So I think they might divvy up some of the snaps. But I think all in all, Todd Gurley is going to be the mainstay with this Rams offense. And you bring up how good they've assembled this offensive line. They've gone through a little bit of a change on there, but I think they're still going to be solid. They're still going to be okay and have protection there. You brought up some of the big weapons. Mm-hmm. They didn't lose really anybody. And the other weapon I'd like to mention is Tyler Higbee. He was injured last year at tight end, thus thrusting Gerald Everett, who we saw later in the season kind of emerge at tight end for them. So now, after they've been able to see Gerald Everett's production and that he can play, now they got kind of like a nice duo there at tight end that I think they're going to utilize into this season. And defensively, here's a funny thing about the Rams defense. Yes, minus Ndamukong Suh, but that might be for the better.
Yes.
We'll have to wait and see. But their cornerbacks, they didn't even have their starting corners into the playoffs. And they managed to get as far as they did in the Super Bowl. Now you have Aqib Talib returning. You have Marcus Peters returning. So, and you mentioned the safety issue. Well, they just picked up Eric Weddle, from Baltimore, who can still play. He has veteran leadership. He's been there. He's seen it all. So I think he's going to adapt very well with the Rams on the back end with John Johnson III. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl type of safety, and to pair him up with another veteran like Eric Weddle, I think that's going to work out great for them. You got so I'm high on this defense. And I think it's better than last year. However, I don't know. I still feel like they have a weakness in the linebacking core. I still feel that it's there. You know, they do have Micah Kaiser, who was a rookie last year. Maybe he's pushing for a starting role this year at linebacker. Corey Littleton, who we saw last year, he kind of struggled, especially in pass protection, and that's where we saw a lot of weakness is right there in the middle of the field when linebackers weren't able to stay with their guys. So I think that may continue, but man, secondary wise, I think they're solid. Their front four, devastating. You got the return of Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald, and Dante, like he was mentioned. So overall, they're still going to be a competitive team, still going to be
pushing. We got
pushing.
Mike Tackett in here. He's asking an XFL question. Here you go. So what do you guys think of Ryan Mallett going to the XFL? Personally, I feel he's been out of the football too long. Was last on the team in 2017 and is already behind the curve. A lot of hungry guys wanting it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting once we see some of these more of these players unveiled. I mean, right now their big name was Landry Jones. You know, maybe it's going to start off as they're going to get better guys along the lines. You know, maybe people still get a shot. Maybe you see a shot of maybe Johnny Manziel getting in here. I don't know. He's already tested his luck here and there.
He did good in Canada.
Think, to try some of these younger guys still here. They're still trying to sniff a chance and prove something, and so then maybe propel into the NFL again after this. Because, again, I think you're still going to see some of this as a stepping stone for some of these guys. And as these different leagues open up and keep going, we see it with the Arena League, you're getting to notice some of these other smaller guys here and there that were big players. Jeremiah Spicer still trying to make a team here. He's hopeful for the XFL. He was Rookie of the Year on defense, last year, 2 years ago. And so you never know with these different leagues popping in. Mike Tackett always shares some stuff about the German league and some of these other guys. And you've got to
Japanese
see a couple
football.
of these guys, the English guys even come in, to the FL and try and show what they can do. So whatever the NFL is trying to do and share out the wealth with everybody and get everybody to play this sport, it's kind of working right now. And as far as Ryan Mallett, he didn't really, for me, even light it up so much in the NFL again. So, I mean, XFL, he's going to be able to, I think, get his time to get a hold of the reins here. I mean, you're playing against a lower level amount of guys. So I think we'll see what happens with him, and time will tell with these guys.
Yeah, and this is where I kind of refer back to Trent Richardson. Didn't do so hot in the NFL, went to a couple of different teams, failed miserably, just couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
He goes to the AAFL.
Yeah.
And he lights up the league.
Right. Yeah, but then you're also surprised.
But I'm not surprised.
Right.
Because that's a huge dip down in talent.
Right, exactly.
Where he kind of stands out.
Yes.
That's where I could see like a Ryan Mallett, a Landry Jones. I think these guys, even though Ryan Mallett's been out of the game for a little bit, I think when he gets back into football shape, when he starts to get really into the game plan and everything, I think you're going to see a lot of these ex-NFL guys excel big time in the XFL because that talent pool drops a lot. You still might be able to find some hidden gems that didn't get that opportunity in the NFL, never got drafted, never got signed, never made the practice squad, whatnot. They go to the XFL. I think it could be a great league to be kind of like a farm league for the NFL to pick talent here and there out. And if talent doesn't make the NFL, they could just kind of find their home in the XFL and still have a decent
star
career
there and make your money there. If you want, still have the need to play this game and be there and be a superstar, definitely. And as far as warming into everything, I would say look at even for us locally, the Arena League, Tommy Grady. Year before last, when they first brought the team to Albany, the first game, people were there excited to go, and he wasn't looking so hot. They're like, oh, my gosh, we are going to be terrible. But he worked it out after a couple of interceptions. A week went by, and they made it to the Arena Bowl last year, year before last. And now they had unfinished business. This year they grabbed a different couple of other guys in defense. Then now this year they win it. And he's playing lights out right now. He looks like a superstar for the Arena League.
Right.
So you never know. Like you said, it's a different pool of talent. They try to grab guys off the street. They're trying to make a name for themselves too, to see what they can do.
Right.
So yeah, it's time to shine, and we'll see what happens as they go forward. Swervo Gaming says we are doing really good right now.
Excellent.
When you get a chance, if you guys end up finishing, I know a lot of times they take it away sometimes for these fantasy drafts.
Yeah.
And whether you're doing it in person or online,
let us know. Let us know
what the lineup is.
who you have right now on your
Definitely.
roster.
Did I text you my sister-in-law's team?
You
I
did.
think I did. I thought that she did pretty decent. You know,
Yeah.
she watches the show, and she let me know, too, what she drafted. I think she did nice. So much even that I think Larry Fitzgerald was even on her bench at that point. So, I mean, that's pretty good when you got some depth like that. So we'll see here. Taysom Hill, Mike Tackett says, would be great to see. But I think we're going to see a lot of guys in the XFL that don't make the team's 53.
Right.
I think Taysom
Absolutely.
Hill will still make the 53 because
Absolutely.
they use him
I
around.
don't think
He is the
Taysom Hill's
multi-tool.
going anywhere. And,
No.
and it's been.
But I don't understand what he's saying
Right.
because the different multi-tools that he has,
Right,
he could do.
right.
He could run, he could catch, he
But
could throw.
here's something interesting about Taysom Hill is Taysom Hill's kind of getting into the conversation right now where there's some reporters saying that he may be able to compete for the starting quarterback job when Drew Brees leaves. They're saying that maybe it's not Teddy Bridgewater that is going to be shoot in for that starting job, that he will have some competition with Taysom Hill. For me, I think he's a great gadget guy. He can play just about anywhere on the field. He plays special teams. He plays receiver. He plays running back. He plays quarterback. Heck, he'd even go out there and play linebacker for you if you let him. But this is interesting to me because it's the first time I'm hearing it, and it's brought me some intrigue here. Now, what I would like to see from Taysom Hill is actually play quarterback a lot because I want to see if he can make all those throws and not just once in a while like gadget play to get the slot receiver wide open over the middle and he can make an easy throw.
90% of the time
Right.
he's out there, you know he's either
Right,
running
it's going to be
or,
something gadgety type of thing. So I want to see if he actually can just play the quarterback role. We've seen flashes of him throwing the ball, but it's been a lot of times been to a wide open receiver. So I want to see if he can make every throw. Can he drop some dimes on the sideline? Can he hit a guy in a tight window? You know what I mean? What can he do at the quarterback position? We all know he's an athletic freak, but I want to see him in just that quarterback role and not just a gadget guy all over the place.
And for me, the XFL, I want to see what the contracts end up being here. Now, is it going to be? I think if the contracts are competitive with
Crazy.
with backup quarterbacks,
Crazy money, bro.
There you go. Well,
I'm telling you right
that's
now.
what I'm saying now. Now, do you see somebody like Teddy Bridgewater, RG3, who's serviceable backup? Do you think they would just say, "Well, I could get paid almost as much and start and
No, they're
have
not
fun
gonna,
being a starter"?
They're not going to make NFL money.
Right.
You know, right now they're making multiple millions of dollars. If they go down to the XFL, they're making probably, if I was to guess, there's no concrete answer right now, but it's going to be more than what the AFFL or the AAFL
I know
was being
they're
paid.
paying more.
Now, on average, those starters were getting paid $250,000 for the year. XFL has already publicly stated that they're going to pay their guys higher than that.
Yeah.
Now, we've had this discussion before. Financially, how long can they sustain the league?
Yep, God's brought it up
but
too
now
because they're paying forward a lot of stuff.
Right. They've kind of just come out there and said, hey, we're not going to just pay what they did. We're going to pay more than what they did for the players to play. Now, that is kind of concerning because, yes, they're going to pay more, but they're not going to pay what the NFL pays for a backup QB. You're not paying $12 million. You're not even going to pay like $8 million. You know what I mean? So anything like that. So I don't think the XFL early on is going to even come close to competing, trying to do salary-wise.
Yeah.
There's no way it's going to happen. So when you got guys like bigger names like Teddy Bridgewater, or guys like that have kind of bounced around teams, had a starting opportunity once, but now is seen more like a career backup, I think they're still going to remain in the NFL. They're not the ones being cut. They know that. They're pretty comfortable in what they're making. They're pretty comfortable where they are. So it's going to be a pool. I could see the XFL kind of being that pool where, like we were just mentioning before, guys that just kind of just barely don't make the cut, guys that are undrafted free agents that never got the opportunity, even draft picks that kind of fall off in the end, that end up getting cut. There's been third round picks in the NFL that have been cut from teams. Maybe they get a second chance in the XFL. That's what I think. Basically, it's the second chance league for a lot of guys.
Yeah. Like I was just thinking about the Giants. Right now they've got Eli Manning. Daniel Jones is going to take the spot eventually. But Alex Tanney, they've been using him a lot in the preseason, and he looks decent enough. So it leads it to Kyle Lauletta. Now he's going to be on the chopping block.
Right.
So you see baby guys like him, then there you go. He's get his opportunity to sniff the XFL.
Yeah, definitely.
And
with
that's
guys,
the thing with this league.
Exactly.
And as far as people trying to put 2 and 2 together with Oliver Luck and Andrew Luck going to the XFL, you guys are smoking something. I don't see Andrew Luck doing that at all, especially because he just got done with a team that had a terrible offensive line until 2 years ago. He's not going to go to the XFL. Yeah,
he's injured.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to
February,
play.
I think they start, but there's no.
Not going to play.
He's not going to do that. He's done.
Why would he go work? Here's the thing. Why would he go play for peanuts?
Oliver Luck's there, so that's why. His
so
dad.
what?
I know, but that's funny when people try to tie these together, like the Eli and Peyton thing in the Colts.
Terrible.
It's like, well, Peyton played there, so Eli, I'm sure, wants to play there, and he'll fit right in. Will he?
Stop.
I don't think so. All right, we're doing the NFC East. It's time for our predictions now, Joe. Let's get to it so we can move on. Let's move on to the drop, and then we can do the AFC. But here we go. Here's Joe's picks so far.
There's my picks. I got the Rams winning the division. It was tough for me to pick Seattle Niners because a lot of people are going to overlook the Niners, but I think they could be a very sneaky good team. Not so much to push for the division, but I think they're going to compete very well against Seattle. But in the end, I think Seattle has, they have the veterans. They have, if they can get those receivers healthy and good enough, Russell Wilson's going to make it happen. In the end, I think Seattle might just edge out the 49ers. But again, this could flip-flop where the Niners it could be like within a game or two type of deal, and the Niners could be ahead of the Seattle. But when it's all said and done, I got the Rams winning it. I got the Cardinals in rebuild mode. I don't think they're going to win a ton of games. I don't even think they're going to be 500. So they'll be picking early in next year's draft. They're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole.
Mm-hmm. And my picks are exactly the same, Joe. Again, I think the Arizona Cardinals are in rebuild mode. It's not
funny.
It's always common, I would say maybe, that a college coach tries to come in and utilize the college game into the NFL. And I think it's a bit of a learning curve. We saw it with Chip Kelly. How long did he last? So, I mean, it's tough to see how it's going to work. He does have the quarterback that runs that offense for him. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Like you said, they're in rebuild mode. And the way to balance it, they grab veterans on defense to help keep them in games. And maybe we'll see a resurgence of David Johnson here. The 49ers, again, I think it all depends on how healthy Jimmy G is. And they have a plethora of running backs there. We've seen what Matt Breida could do. One thing about him, which is good for the team and other, in case they decide to trade him, is the explosive plays he pulls up. Absolutely. Now, if they do have issues on offensive line, he's been able to make explosive plays and get open and make some good plays for everybody. So now the Seattle Seahawks, I can't put them out just because it's Russell Wilson. And even when I thought they were down in the running game, they surprised me and bounced back. So who knows what's going on with them.
And for a healthy Chris Carson, he looks dangerous. So, I mean, we've seen what kind of – he had almost like 5.5 yards per carry, almost 6. I think it was like 5.7. So he's a dangerous back. And as good as that offensive line kind of magically – got better after their line coach got fired. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. If he can sustain health, this offense could be deadly.
Yeah, and then I have the Rams here at first. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it to the NFC Championship game, but I've got them taking the division. So I think, again, they've got the powerhouse of that division, so I see them going there. All right, Joe, let's hit them up with the drop.
This is the drop.
Wide receiver Michael Crabtree, like we said earlier in the show. If you're just tuning in now, Crabtree signed a 1-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals after the release of Kevin White.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I'm sorry.
We'll see. They've got the two oldest guys in the NFL almost, you know.
33.
You got Larry Fitzgerald and you got Michael Crabtree. So.
Crabtree's 33 years old, if you didn't know.
Who else would you set up your rookie quarterback with but two veterans that know the game?
Exactly. Patriots defensive back Patrick Chung has been indicted on cocaine possession. That's right.
Snap.
that is not the Patriot way. And Chung is looking at the charge of cocaine.
Winners don't use drugs.
And that's exactly correct. Couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys have offered a holdout running back Ezekiel Elliott a contract that would make him the second highest paid running back in the NFL, according to ESPN's Ed Werder. The proposal will enter Elliott between the LA Rams' running back Todd Gurley of $14.4 million in average per spot track, and the New York Jets' running back Le'Veon Bell making $13.1 million per year. I mean, we said it earlier on the show.
And that's what's funny, I think, with those two guys. If you bring up Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell, Le'Veon Bell sat out almost a whole year and a half. Todd Gurley was injured towards the end, didn't even play so much in the Super Bowl. Now those guys are the two highest paid, and how many touches are they going to get this year? Todd Gurley probably more, but I think Le'Veon Bell, they're going to ease in. I don't know if he's going to get so many touches early on and then
here's the thing.
Workload.
I don't think it's a matter of easing in. I think it's a matter of he can't do the full workload right now. He's had too much time off, and now he's even claimed that he's not playing preseason games, which is critical to get back into football shape, to get hit. Listen, he complained in practice that his own teammates need to hit him more. If you want that, play in the preseason games.
Blast him.
So, I mean, I think it's all on his own. It's his own doing, and I don't think he's going to be in football shape come week one, and I think that's the reason why you say eased in, but I don't think it's the organization. I think it's him. I just don't think he can carry the full workload from Jump Street right now. And it's going to be because of that, because he hasn't played those preseason games. He hasn't taken the hits. He wants his teammates to hit him, but guess what? I don't know. The NFL rulebook says you can't hit in those practices.
All right.
So, I don't know. I do think Todd Gurley is going to be just fine. I think he's going to be productive and all that. But Le'Veon Bell, I think it's going to take. Listen, we've seen him.
It's funny because again, they're the highest paid. When how much are they going to be playing?
But
I think that's why Zeke is always like, well, I should be paid the highest because I think I'm better than him, and you can count on me being there.
Don't hold out.
Yeah.
Why hold out? You would have easily been the highest paid running back next year. Probably. They probably would have worked out a deal with you. But you're holding out in the middle of your contract doesn't make much sense.
All right, let's do it. Yeah.
Green Bay Packers wide receiver Equanimeous St. Brown is reportedly expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle injury, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. It sucks for the Green Bay offense. Although he was a little lower on the depth chart, still an up-and-coming type player for the Green Bay Packers. But nonetheless, he's not done for the year. Just going to be out a few weeks. Maybe he'll be there, around week 2, week 3, something like that. But we'll have to wait and see and monitor that injury. Former NFL defensive lineman Barry Bennett and his wife is tragically found murdered in Minnesota. Condolences out to the family and friends out there of Barry Bennett and his wife. It was reported that a 22-year-old did this. What is a 22-year-old?
Just what the kids say, trying to, get a come up or something like that. Doesn't even know who this guy is.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. What is wrong with this world?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
We don't know.
Titans' Taylor Lewan officially suspended 4 games after testing positive for PEDs. And this is the funny thing is officially.
Winners don't use drugs.
Officially, all of a sudden happened. This was reported about a month ago. And now officially the NFL just came out and suspended him for the first 4 days.
It takes time. There's a lot of red tape, you know what I'm saying?
Too much paperwork. And if you haven't heard it earlier on in this episode and you're just tuning in and you're oblivious to the world, Colts quarterback Andrew Luck retires from the NFL. Colts. Here's the funny thing is that the Colts organization will not recoup the $24.8 million from Andrew Luck despite his retirement announcement. So as a thank you to Andrew Luck from the organization, they're not going to touch that money that they could very easily say, hey, we want that money back. Instead, as a thank you, they say, Luck, you're all good. Thank you very much for your service. Texans running back Lamar Miller has torn ACL and will miss the 2019 season, thrusting Duke Johnson Jr. into the starting lineup for the Houston Texans. I think it's great for Duke. I think it's great for the Texans. I think either way, even if Lamar was there, I think he ends up losing his job by towards the end of the season to Duke. because very shifty running back, much like Lamar Miller, but he's getting older and everything. So Duke is a elite receiver out of the backfield. So watch out for him. I think Deshaun Watson's going to absolutely love his new toy. And like we mentioned earlier, Texans, they could be looking to possibly trade for a running back. Maybe it's the 49ers with that deep of a backfield. Possible.
Yep.
Patriots tight end Lance Kendricks has been suspended for the regular season opener for violating the NFL's policy and program of substance of abuse, per Adam Schefter. It just seems these guys just can't get it. They just stay out of trouble. Stop doing what you're not supposed to do.
I don't get how they know they drug test. I just don't get it. I don't know why they got to keep freaking just doing it.
Falcons signed kicker Blair Walsh with Giorgio Tavecchio struggling big time.
Struggling.
And because of that, the Falcons had to go out there and sign some insurance. They end up going ahead and grabbing Blair Walsh. Hopefully he can take over the starting kicking duties and make it right. Here's something that I'm a little confused about is the Oakland Raiders and Doug Martin. There's been multiple reports about Doug Martin being released after one season with Oakland. But then on the other side of the coin, there's been people saying, "Oh no, Doug Martin wasn't released. He was put on IR, and he's still technically on the team." I'm a little confused. Don't know what to believe. It's been conflicting. What we got, Greg?
Greg says, "Winners don't use drugs." I know this is a family show, but let's be honest. Lawrence Taylor, Michael Irvin. Yes, they were winners. Yes, but that was the old days. They're popping everybody now here.
That's when you could crush a quarterback and not get flagged.
Easier then too, and they even didn't care so much.
That's when Michael Irvin could push off corners to make the catch.
Yeah,
you can't do any of that stuff.
Oh
anymore.
Yeah, Lawrence Taylor doing lines off his helmet. They're like, there's LT doing his thing again. There he goes. He's an animal.
Raiders signed veteran and former Chargers D tackle Corey Legit.
Oh, too legit
making a move there. Arizona Cardinals have placed rookie wide receiver Hakeem Butler on IR with a hand injury. The Miami Dolphins have made a move and announced they have released safety TJ McDonald, which is a little bit surprising. Kansas City Chiefs have signed quarterback Matt Moore. Everybody, there's a Matt Moore sighting. According to Adam Schefter of ESPN, New England Patriots center David Andrews reportedly was released from the hospital after being treated for blood clots in his lungs. According to Jeff McBride of the Boston Globe, he is in jeopardy of missing the season. And, oh my God, this is a terrible thing for Patriots fans. It's terrible for the organization. A guy, David Andrews, that nobody really even knew about. Patriots kind of like did their own scouting reports and everything, end up getting this guy in the team, and the guy ends up becoming like a Pro Bowl center. Another great story for New England, but unfortunately, he's at risk now. Yep. He's probably not going to be playing this season. You might see the Patriots kind of looking around. Listen,
I think
last season they traded.
Yeah, they traded.
Last season, but it's not for a center.
Oh, okay.
They traded last season for Trent Brown. Look how well that worked out. The guy ended up locking it down at the tackle position. Look for the Patriots to trade for some kind of a center, maybe underrated, and they end up getting them in there to lock down that offensive line. Jacksonville Jaguars long snapper Matt Overton offered to buy season tickets from the Indianapolis Colts fans who are looking for a refund following Andrew Luck's announcement of retirement. Overton said he would donate the tickets to the Riley Hospital for Children in Indianapolis. It would be absolutely amazing. So if you're a Colts fan out there and you do have season tickets or something like that and want to sell them, Matt Overton's got your back. He'll pay them. He'll buy them right off of you and donate them to charity.
There you go.
So what do you think?
Yeah, if you're that upset, go ahead, get rid of them. He'll buy them and do something great with it.
Yeah, if you're wondering why a Jacksonville Jaguar is willing to do this for Colts fans, it's because he used to be a Colt. So he's just kind of giving back to the community.
Yeah, definitely. But also, he probably wants to buy them too, so then get less Colts fans in the stadium too. You never know. Like here, Jacksonville Jaguars fans, here you go.
The Cleveland Browns have reportedly waived wide receiver Jalen Strong, according to Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com. This guy I've been rooting for since he came out of college. I've been rooting for him to get on the field to show what he can do. He's a dynamic receiver. He's had injury problems in the past. And just when he gets back and he's healthy, he's shown some flashes for Cleveland, but they're like, no, we're good. Sorry, Jalen. Gronk announces endorsement deal with CBD Medic. He says he's pain-free right now because of CBD and calls
CBD
on pro sports leagues to change their policies.
There you
for
go.
This. You know, and that's
Gronk
the thing is
the good fight.
Right. You know, the NFL, I think eventually the NFL is going to have to come to the understanding that cannabis is a positive thing, especially for athletes coming back from injuries or trying to heal long injuries that they've kind of had to deal with. Now, we look at Andrew Luck's case, too. This is a guy that's kind of had to deal with a lot of strain, a lot of pain. Who knows? Maybe if the NFL didn't like close the door shut on cannabis, maybe it would actually allow him to play longer. Never know.
Yeah, some marijuana.
And we talked a little bit about this earlier in the show, but Houston Texans DN Jadeveon Clowney has fired his agent, Bus Cook, after he and the team failed to agree on a long-term contract this summer. Jadeveon was so upset by the news that he was possibly on the trade block. He's willing to hold out and miss some games at this point since he is being shopped. While on the trade block, it's up to Jadeveon to kind of release that no trade clause out of his contract so then he can be dealt, but the only few teams that he's willing to go to is the Eagles, Seahawks, and perhaps the Dolphins. What are you going to do?
They sent him to Miami to try and convince him that it was a good idea to go to the Dolphins. He doesn't exactly want to go to the Dolphins, but they sent him there because that's their better trade for the Texans. Well, mainly wants to go to the Eagles and the Seattle Seahawks.
Right,
where
but
he
the
could possibly
Dolphins.
be a playoff
Here's
contender.
the thing: is the Dolphins probably would be willing to give up that kind of money.
Oh yeah,
And that's
definitely.
why he's entertaining the idea.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: is I'm sorry, but I don't think he's done enough to request the kind of money DeMarcus Lawrence has.
Yeah.
Don't see it. I don't see that same production.
That's a funny thing too. I always can't stand people saying, "Oh, he's still going to get paid." Like they jump to it. Like you have to pay him. No, you don't. I don't. Patriots. No, they don't. No,
they get rid of people that want the huge money.
I don't need to pay you. You know, you think, he's due though. He needs to. He's got to be.
No,
the hell he does. Enjoy the XFL. Bye.
Hey, get whatever you can. If you're Texans, get whatever you can in compensation to kind of further build your team and save that money. Eagles' wide receiver Deshaun Jackson suffers broken finger. However, he should be ready to go for Week 1.
Yeah,
Lions have released running back Zach Zenner, clearing another spot off the roster, and Arizona Cardinals have suspended executive Ron Miniger for 6 weeks following a DUI arrest. Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins has bought helmets and chin straps for every kid in his hometown youth program. That's about 71 in total helmets and chin straps. So great job, DeAndre Hopkins, giving back to the giving back to the community, doing a great job there.
Absolutely.
The Indianapolis Colts have agreed to trade cornerback Nate Hairston to the New York Jets for a 6th-round pick in 2020's NFL Draft. Could be a move to kind of like add some more depth to that Jets roster. And definitely, who knows, maybe they see something in Nate that they could utilize him in the future. And last but not least, Bills sign kicker Hauschka to the 2-year
Steven
extension.
Yes, I like that. I was just going to think about
Locking
that
him
because
up.
I know Greg Schreiner is a Bills fan. How is he looking about the Bills this year? What does he think? Last week we talked about the Bills a little bit when we covered the AFC East. Some of our viewers here were pretty high on them. They could be a sneaky team. Tom Gazowski from 104.5 The Team, the Gaz, he likes them as his sexy pick. So who knows? They could be a sneaky team to bounce in there. But I said, with the AFC being so thick with talent, it's tough to make them playoff spots. You're going to be tough. So we'll see what happens. He likes the defense. Defense is lights out. My sister-in-law grabbed their defense for fantasy. But we like their defense as well, and we'll see what happens with Josh Allen if he takes a
he's finally
step
got
forward and
weapons.
see what, he has. I'm excited to see what Cole Beasley does with this team.
I'm sorry,
I want to
but
see what he does.
I'm sorry, Greg, but he's finally got some weapons.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with John Brown. Cole Beasley's going to work the middle. I mean, and Zay Jones. There's been reports that Zay Jones could be traded before the regular season. Don't know how accurate those reports are. I know they're kind of like being floated out there as a rumor, but if Zay does end up on the team as well, I'm sorry, he's got a nice rapport with Josh Allen. So I think that Josh Allen's not only going to take a step forward, but I think the whole offense is going to be better.
Yeah, they did struggle a little bit on offensive line. He says offensive line still needs work. They did grab Cody Ford, which I like.
Oh, that's a great pick.
So that's really great, too. And you got to think, like you said, you like the defense. They also grabbed, who Gaz was really high on, too.
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver there on defense. I mean, oh, my goodness, it's scary here. And basically on offense, you just don't want to make mistakes. And what's your take on the running back situation? What do you think they're going to do? Are they going to go with Shady McCoy and Frank Gore? Is somebody's going to be a cap casualty here? Or, you got TJ Yeldon there in the backfield, too, as well. So
they got some young talent behind that.
They've got a lot of crazy stuff there, too, that could possibly send some of these guys to the Houston Texans like we talked about, too.
And my one thing, too, is also, like, why would they sign Frank Gore?
Yeah.
He's another older
What's the
veteran.
key?
Why would they sign him? So it makes me believe that possibly LaShawn McCoy's either going to be
haven't heard
traded.
anything about that, though. That's what's funny.
Well, maybe they're doing a great job keeping it capped.
Yeah.
Maybe be traded, or he could be a salary cap casualty by week 1. Who knows?
All right, so right now we're talking about the AFC West now, too. One of Joe's favorite divisions here because he's a beloved Raiders fan. And we'll start off with, who do we got first?
Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. There you go.
So the Denver Broncos we got right here, and real quick, let's talk about their offense. Joe Flacco. All right, let's just hit the nail on the head right now. Joe Flacco.
And Drew Lock doesn't look very good.
No. Drew Lock was a reach when they took him, and I don't see him becoming that future starter that they're hoping for. And here's the thing. It's like strike 17 for John Elway as a GM. I'm sorry.
This is it now.
This guy cannot draft. He cannot find a quarterback for the future in his entire life. It doesn't matter how long. If he's the GM for the next 10 years, I still don't think he'll be able to find that quarterback. It's absolutely insane. He just brings retreads in. Now he's got Joe Flacco. Is he the answer? Yeah, maybe short term, sure. But he's not. Joe Flacco has struggled himself in Baltimore at times. So bringing him to a Baltimore Ravens team that doesn't have as good of an offensive line, in my opinion, has some weaponry. I don't know. Like, I just don't see him being the guy that's going to bring them over the top and win the division or even compete for a wild card. I don't see the Broncos right there. Emmanuel Sanders coming back from an injury now is finally healthy. The one kid that I do like on this team is Cortland Sutton, a nice young guy coming in his second year. He's going to be starting opposite Emmanuel Sanders as of right now. Deshaun Hamilton, another guy another young guy coming back in his second year who also can produce for them. Philip Lindsay goes as a little kind of under the radar type of player, but here's something that's interesting this year for him is I don't think he's going to be the featured back, if you will, for this team. I see this backfield being kind of like a rotating, split back type of thing because now Royce Freeman, who was drafted last year to possibly be the future of that backfield, is now back healthy again. And you also got a lot of depth pieces behind him. You got guys like Devontae, Booker, who kind of made a name for himself. Theo Riddick is trying to make the team.
Catch,
I don't know if he'll be able to make it, but he's still nonetheless in there. And then on the defense, here's the thing: is Vic Fangio is taking over this team as the head coach, and when Vic Fangio gets a hold of the defensive side of the ball, it doesn't matter what kind of roster he has to work with. He always makes them really, really good. They're always top 15. So now he gets his hands on guys like Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, two pass rushing, icons for this team. Look for them to put a ton of pressure on teams and forcing teams to either get rid of the ball or just cracking down on the running back. So, excuse me. But real quick, Derek Wolfe was coming back from an injury on this defensive line. Much needed to come back for them. Adam Gotsis is another underrated defensive line player for them. Todd Davis. I love this dude at middle linebacker. Even though he's a Bronco, he's a really talented player. Here's what's interesting to me. They go out and they sign Kareem Jackson thinking that's going to, be the answer for this secondary, for that cornerback position. He struggled in Houston. There's a reason for that. I don't think he's going to be able to be the corner that they want him to be, and he's going to struggle again. The one pickup that they did have recently, though, is Sua Cravens at safety. This guy's he's been hurt with the Redskins. He hasn't really gotten on the field a lot, but I like his talent. I think he could command a safety role and possibly get this starting job over Kareem Jackson. Justin Simmons, still young, coming back. I don't think he's a very stable safety. Bryce Callahan at corner, another new name. I think it's a weakness. So all in all, and they have Chris Harris, who wanted big-time money.
And he's still there.
And he's still there. But here's the problem with Chris, is he's a very good corner, no doubt about it. But he gets injured almost every year. So I think all in all, if Chris Harris goes down, I think the secondary could be in deep trouble. I think much of the same that happened last year is going to happen this year. I think the passing game is going to get this defense again. Running game, I think they're going to shut it down. I think they're going to do a very good job at that. I think they're going to do a very good job at getting some sacks and creating pressure. But just like Houston's defense, I think they're going to end up getting beat on the back end in terms of passing plays.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see if they can get Noah Fant, their first-round pick, involved here in the offense. Because when was the last time they had a tight end? Yeah, I know. But, I mean, it would be great to get him in there, and see what they could do. Because, again, I don't remember the last time they had a decent tight end. So if they can get him involved with Cortland Sutton, like you said, Emmanuel Sanders a little longer in the tooth, but still good for fantasy, though. He gets a lot of PPR leagues.
A lot of catches.
He's doing well, with Emmanuel Sanders, so watch out for that.
But here's the thing, though, is it's not the same offense. This is a completely new coaching staff, so I'm not really sure what kind of an offense they're going to run. With Vic Fangio as the head coach, does he like to run more? That could change everything. You know what I mean? Maybe they become a more, ground and pound type of team, much like the Baltimore Ravens. They do a lot of running, more they didn't do passing. So I could expect that kind of physicality from Vic Fangio and his coaching staff.
All right, moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year's resurging team here. Everybody loves Patrick Mahomes. He's a future Hall of Famer, 50 touchdowns.
I don't like him
MVP
very much.
of the league. I know. Joe really doesn't like him, but maybe the physicality, I think, of him or something like that, right? But in his way he talks, I don't know. But,
he
he does
sounds
right.
like Kermit the Frog.
Okay, all right. But, he could be he's on Madden now. He's the face of the NFL. I think this year's going to be a different year for him. I don't think he's going to be MVP status.
Because he's on the Madden cover.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true, too. But, again, it's hard to eclipse 50 touchdowns. But also, you've seen a lot of those plays last year, and it was a lot of dink and dunk to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill made plays happen. That's why I think when it came down to what the punishment was going to be for Tyreek Hill, and turns out there was none, that's a big deal for Patrick Mahomes. So you got Travis Kelce there still as well. Sammy Watkins coming back. I think one of the overpaid wide receivers in the game. And so, I think they're going to take a step down a little bit as far as points and production. As far as the division, I think it's a close division here. You never know what's going to happen with these guys. The Raiders are getting better, and you've still got the Chargers. So Kansas City Chiefs, I still think for them, defense is a bit of a weakness. So what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, and I think much of the same thing here. And here's the thing. They did pull off a trade for Frank Clark. They get him in there. They pay him top dollar. This defensive line, I will say this, is scary. I don't know, they got Derek Nottie at D-tackle. They got Chris Jones, a Pro Bowl D-tackle who is looking for a large sum of money. He wants a new deal. He's another guy that they're going to have to try to work out a deal on. Frank Clark gets big money, though, so now Chris Jones is like, hey, what about me? They end up go ahead and they added Alex Okafor from the New Orleans Saints to help with that opposite side of the pass rush from Frank Gore. Linebackers, I think, is a weakness for this team. Linebackers, you got Damian Wilson coming from the Cowboys, Reggie Ragland, who's not very good in pass coverage, good at stopping the run, and Anthony Hitchens, who keeps getting older as the years go by. So again, I think that they might struggle a little bit in the linebacking core area, and we also remember that the Jets traded away Duron Lee to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's because the Chiefs even know that might be a weakness for them, and they're hoping that Duron Lee can help with the pass coverage on defense. And the secondary, they did get Tyrann Mathieu. They won the sweepstakes for Tyrann Mathieu. He's going to lock down that safety spot that oh, crap. Forgot his name. Eric what? The long-time safety.
I know, Eric. Shit, I can't believe I can't
He's a
remember.
free agent, too, so there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So
Greg chimes in here. He says about Patrick Mahomes, he says he throws to he'd be surprised if he throws close to 40 touchdowns this year. He likes him and all, but that was ridiculous last year. I'm going to make a prediction right now. He's going to go 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. There you go.
I think he's going to go 30 and 15.
Maybe, yeah. I can go for that.
And here's
a lot of turnovers.
Here's the thing: is now teams have a whole season of game film on him. They can already see his tendencies. We saw what the Chargers did against Kansas City. The Chargers competed and they did a great job. Eric Berry, thank you, Mike. That was going to bother the hell out of me because I couldn't remember his name.
I know.
But thanks so much to one of our know-it-alls, Mike Tackett, to bail us out yet again. But nonetheless, let me get back to the Chiefs at hand here. Yeah. But nonetheless, here's the thing, too, is they're weak at corner. You know, Kendall Fuller is a really good corner on one side, but that other side, I don't know, is Bashaud Breeland going to be your answer, really? I don't think they get any better by adding him. So all in all, I could see the linebacking core being a weakness. I could see one half of the field being a weakness, and it doesn't spell success on defense. So offensively, what can you say? They have some very dynamic weapons. Travis Kelce. I don't even know if every team that faces them struggles to lock them out, to just kind of cancel them out. And just when you think, oh, yeah, we got Kelce figured out, guess what? You got the little freaking speedy freaking Gonzalez, Tyreek Hill, who just flies all over the field, runs 70 yards down the field and beats everybody, and Patrick Mahomes has the arm to just reach to throw it 80 yards. So very unfair advantage. And Sammy Watkins makes another return, everybody. He hopes to stay healthy. Don't see it happening, but and the offensive line is a little underrated too. I mean, they do have a really good offensive line. So all in all, watch out for Damian Williams at running back. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a name that everyone's going to come accustomed to. Carlos Hyde is in the mix. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how the reps are going to split up week to week. And there's a rookie by the name of Darwin Thompson who's making a huge name for himself in preseason. A guy that's hard to bring down, a very physical type of back, bringing it back to the Nigerian Nightmare days. So the Chiefs fans are going to really love Darwin Thompson this season. I think he's going to be in the mix as well.
All right, Mike Tackett says here, why do you guys think T.J. McDonald is still a free agent? Is it because he's getting older, teams are finishing assembling their rosters since camp, or something else? Having been a former starter, I feel not only he can compete at this level, but he can also complement most secondaries.
And that's the thing is maybe the Texans will give him a call. Maybe the Chiefs will give him a call. Like if you can pair T.J. McDonald up with the likes of Tyrann Mathieu, I think that would be a good fit. So there's definitely teams still out there that need help at safety. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but again, he can play. He still has the capability to start for somebody. So. I think it's a combination of things where teams also got to take into effect that he's got to fit their scheme as well. Maybe he doesn't fit, half the team schemes or something like that defensively. So I don't know. We'll wait and see if TJ lands on a team or whatnot. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right, next up we've got the Los Angeles Chargers, a team that I was really high on. Actually, I picked the Rams Chargers Super Bowl last year, and I was just a little bit off. But the Chargers got embarrassed by the Patriots. It seemed like they knew every play that they were running. Videogate again, Spygate, what is it? Don't know, but also, yeah, they were mixing it up to Austin Eckler. Saw a little bit of him. So much so that I think one of the drives in the game before that, the Phillip Rivers handed it off to one of the running backs, and he just said, that was a good play by number 21 or whatever. He didn't even know the guy's name. So these guys are getting it going. Derwin James was a pleasant surprise here. Great player for them. All-out baller. He's all over the field. You can't say enough about this defense. And we saw their wide receivers finally stay healthy. And you've got Keenan Allen. You've got Mike Williams. I like what they're doing here. They did have an issue at tight end where they had to go back to Antonio Gates. But they've got that straightened out, I think, this year. We'll see. We'll see what happens with them. I like the Chargers here, Joe. What do you think?
And it's Hunter Henry. He's finally back healthy at tight end. He's going to be very productive for this team. And oh my God, Phillip Rivers is so elated right now that he has him back.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, Antonio Gates in his short stint with the team last year was dismal at best. Keenan Allen finally stays healthy. Guy is one of the elite receivers in this league, but it's a matter of health. Can he do it again for a second consecutive year? Mike Williams. I'm kind of disappointed in Mike Williams. He's not, for a first-round pick, I'm sorry, going into now, what is it, his third year or second year? I need to see more. I need to see him to be able to create separation. He struggles with that. Instead of going up for 50-50 balls, every time he gets an opportunity. I need to see more from him. He needs to become more of an impact guy. So I don't think Mike Williams really helped this offense enough last season. I need to see a bigger step forward from him. Travis Benjamin's been on the team, and he's kind of like the forgotten man on the roster. He very rarely gets opportunities on the field. I'm looking for them to increase the plays to Travis Benjamin. Here's the funny thing too is Dontrell Inman. He just got recently cut from the Patriots because he requested it. He said, listen, if I don't have a shot to make the roster or because of all these other factors that are coming in, Josh Gordon, who just got added,
getting reactivated.
I would prefer to be let go so I can find a team. He ends up going right back to home with the Chargers where he started his career. Watch out for Dontrell Inman. Very good wide receiver. He could actually push Travis Benjamin right now for that spot. The offensive line is now getting healthy once again. So we all know that the Chargers have a stigma about them about being injured a lot, and it's always starters that happen to get injured. Melvin Gordon. We don't know much about Melvin Gordon right now. We don't know if he's going to be able to be there for week one. Is he going to hold out? I'm sorry. I just think when game checks start flying around, I think he'll be there for week one. I think he's still going to want to collect that money and not lose it. So if that's the case and he holds out, Austin Eckler is more than capable to take over the starting duties for this team, and they don't lose a beat. And the funny thing is that Phillip Rivers said just that much in an interview and said, we got guys like Austin Eckler. We got guys like Justin Jackson. They're more than capable to play, and we'll win with them. So
Mike Tackett says, after Phillip Rivers makes an entire football team and retires, who is their next starter at QB? Cardale Jones or Easton? Easton Stick? Was it?
Someone else.
Yes, and someone else, yes.
I'm going to say someone else right now. Cardale Jones, I think he's not developing into the quarterback that the Chargers are hoping that he could become. I think he's one thing for sure, he's a slow learner. He's done great in college, obviously, but I think this is where it is. I think he's a career backup. Easton Stick, he's got a long ways to go. He has some potential, but all in all, I think they're still going to have to find a future quarterback via draft for soon because Phillip Rivers is not going to last forever.
Right.
And just to touch on their defense real quick. They got a lot of returning guys. You got Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, two stud ends on that team. You have Denzel Perryman coming back again. Thomas Davis is a new addition to this linebacking core. And this is what I found very interesting because Thomas Davis retired from the Panthers, said, I'm done. Well, something happened where the LA Chargers kind of called his agent and be like, hey, is he really done? Because we could use him over here. And I think Thomas saw it as an opportunity to be like, hey, the Chargers were in the playoffs last year. Maybe I could help them get over the hump. He ends up joining the Chargers. Casey Hayward, one of the best corners in this league. He's going to lock it down on the one side. And you know what? Derwin James, he will not be there. He's going to miss some time.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt the back end of this defense early on in the season. So I'm interested to see what they do to kind of like Band-Aid that up and going forward. I look for Desmond King, also another cornerback, to kind of push for a starting role. He's kind of been bounced around. He's a little short, but I think he can still get the job done. So all in all, I think this team is very talented on the roster, and I think they can push for yet another divisional.
All right, finally
win.
moving on to the Oakland Raiders and John Gruden, and they're on Hard Knocks. Some people call it Soft Knocks, and we have Antonio Brown back in camp. He's got a helmet, and it's a whole new look to the Raiders. I mean, they made moves in the offseason to get picks. They've got Josh Jacobs now, and they draft Hunter Renfrow here. So, I mean, it's an interesting look for this team, and we hope that they could just take a step forward here. They got Clelin Ferrell as their first round pick. I know Levesque was a little surprised by that, but we'll see what happens with them. He was Drew Boilhart, our draft specialist that we have in here. He was high on him.
Very
he was
high
one of his favorite DNs here on the board. But year 2 under Gruden, and he's got a lot more weapons here for Derek Carr. So if Derek Carr struggles this year, it's all on him now. Last year we saw at times where he would hold the ball a little too much or even throw it away when it's like third down and, you had an opportunity. You just think like, well, I'll just give up on this play and boom, dish it. But there was many games that they had last year where they were still putting up points and they were much in it. I mean, they almost beat the Rams at one point.
Right.
So I'm really excited about this team. I don't think they're going to be as horrible as some analysts and some people are saying this team is going to be. I think they're going to kind of surprise people, and I like how they're getting back to that bad news Raiders kind of thing with Gruden. So.
Yeah, here's the funny thing is I get a kick out of, all these NFL analysts and these reporters that keep reporting on, and it's not just about the Raiders. Mm-hmm. I get a kick out of it about all across the league. Mm-hmm. If they don't know a team, they don't know who they added, really. Like, everybody knows Antonio Brown's on the Raiders. He's a huge name. How would you not know? But there's a lot of guys that go kind of under the radar, like a Hunter Renfrow, that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot. And these other players that are talented, they're like, hey, this team, if you look at the whole team, they could do some damage. Do I think they're going to push for a division? Absolutely not. I don't think they're ready yet. And as far as Derek Carr goes and his development, listen, he had to learn a whole new offense last season. That's where you see the struggles. It's another new offense, and that goes for any quarterback that has to learn it. When they have to learn a new offense, it's going to be different. It's going to be not as smooth, not as clean. So now coming into a second year, I think he's going to take off. He's going to take a huge step forward because last year, no weapons, new offense. What'd you expect, really? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So now you got guys coming. Tyrell Williams comes over from the Chargers. Antonio Brown, J.J. Nelson. Ryan Grant, another guy, who nobody's really seen a lot. And then they got some of the younger guys like Keelan Dawes starting to make a name for himself. Hunter Renfrow they drafted. Offensive line, they've kind of reshaped the guard position here. Gabe Jackson's going to be out for some time early on in the season. So they have to try to find someone to fill that void. Richie Incognito, everybody's favorite guard.
Yeah.
He's going to miss the first 2 games. So they have to kind of weather the storm for the first 2 weeks on that offensive line. But otherwise, when they're 100% ready to go, that offense, they got some names on there. They got some players. Josh Jacobs looks to take over the role, guy that everybody's excited to see what he can do. And defensively, it's not just offense that had a lot of changes, but the defense. I mean, we look at the first round of the draft, like Jim mentioned, Clelin Ferrell is coming in to start right away at defensive end, a guy that can play the run and pass rush as well. John Abraham, the guy that's going to play safety, we're hearing rave reviews on him and how aggressive he is and how determined he is to learn under LaMarcus Joyner, taking over that leadership role. Carl Joseph, another guy who's a first-round draft pick, trying to prove himself at safety. Gary Conley, another year. This team is talented in different aspects, and the other thing that's interesting is how young this defense is. So I think with all these changing parts, they add Vontaze Burfict, who kind of becomes available, and I think that was a key addition. So now Paul Gunther's defense is not only going to take a step forward, but I think it's going to take 2 steps because
already has kind of like their captain there knows
he's the quarterback of the defense, and he knows inside and out Paul Gunther's defense. So I think it's going to work out better for the young guys and the guys that are coming in for their second year to learn the defense faster and be able to just react instead of having to think for it. But all in all, this defense I think is way more talented than last year. I think they're going to take a bigger step than a lot of people do. Do I think they contend? No, I don't think they contend just yet. But I think they're going to be competitive.
I think it's tough. Yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive division, and it's just tough because you have the Chiefs and the Chargers in there along with that in the mix. So here, Joe, let's go to your picks. Right now, you've got the Chargers here at top.
Yeah, so I think here's the thing. What I noticed is that how well the Chargers on defense and offensively they make adjustments, and I know the Kansas City Chiefs, they have Andy Reid. He does a great job of making adjustments on offense and so forth. But I think the Chargers have, now that they got game film on Patrick Mahomes for the whole year. They got game film on how their offense operates with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, and now they're running back in Damian Williams. I think it might be the Chargers' year to go and take over this division and knock the Chiefs off of it. The Chiefs have been sitting on that plateau right there for quite some time, and now they're so successful. I think the Chargers can make a difference and knock them off this year. Chiefs, this is going to be close. I still think they're going to be competing for the division win. However, I think they just barely miss out. Raiders, even though with all the talent that they have, it's a lot of new faces, a lot of chemistry has to develop. They're still kind of rebuilding a little bit. I think they're going to be competitive, but I don't see them winning the division. I don't see them getting into the wild card just yet. Maybe the following year. They're going to end up third. And I'm sorry, but John Elway, he's a terrible GM. He just needs to get out of office. They got to fire him so then maybe they can propel this franchise and find a franchise quarterback to do something with. I think they're just going to be they're going to be a decent – I think they're going to be a little bit better than last year because when you go from Case Keenum to Joe Flacco, I think it's an upgrade. And Emmanuel Sanders coming back healthy, so I think that's going to work out well for them. But all in all, I think they end up last in the division.
Absolutely. Joe Flacco feeling no pressure there, I think, at the quarterback spot after the performance that Drew Lock has had so far. So I think he feels a little safer there. So here's my picks. I'm going to agree with you, Joe, again, and it all depends for me, again, looking at injuries for the Chargers here.
Absolutely.
That's the key for everything. And I think the Chiefs take a step back here. I think their record isn't going to be like an 11-6 or 11-5 and something up there. I think they're going to get figured out a little bit here and be tested. So I'm going to look at them to take a step back here. Still fight for a playoff spot. And the Raiders here, I think are going to surprise some people. Yes, I got them here at third, but again, this is a tough division. They play each other hard. And the Raiders, they've got a lot of talent there, so don't sneak out on them.
And they have a history of losing to the Chiefs.
They do.
Every single year.
Who knows? Gruden's there. I'm feeling the vibe. They got the new stadiums getting upgraded, so we'll see what happens. And the Broncos, I'm in the same path as you, Joe. When is it time to get rid of
John Elway?
John Elway. Now is the time. Miss after miss with quarterbacks. He's only got borrowed time with Joe Flacco. And you're kind of wasting this great defense that ended up propelling you into the Super Bowl and winning you one.
Right.
You don't look so good after that. Yes, you had Von Miller and Bradley Chubb was there for you to grab. Okay, what have you done since then? You've traded away some of your defensive players the way you pissed off Chris Harris and others and whiffed on quarterbacks and have the same wide receivers that have been there. So what's new? Are we going to see a mix here of, like you said, run first? You're going to get some Royce Freeman, some Phillip Lindsay? What are they going to do here? But I still think with this division being so tough, the Broncos are down at the bottom. So, all right, that's our show for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Mike Tackett, Greg Schreiner, and also Swervo Gaming. He was doing a draft for his buddy, helping him out this tonight.
Love to hear what you guys ended up with for your draft picks. That'd be great if you could share them with us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, anybody did a fantasy draft, definitely share them with our group page or whatever on Facebook if you
Just
can.
want to do a huge shout out to Down Monday for allowing us to use their music throughout our show. Also, Stephen Murray from www.voiceactorgarage.com. He's our voiceover guy for a lot of our intros or outros. Tros. If you ever need his services, make sure you hit him up. You can follow us on Twitter at FB_no. Want to thank all the know-it-alls out there. Thank you for the continued support. Also, thank everybody on YouTube, Facebook. You guys have been great. Keep commenting, keep sharing. Spread the word. Keep bringing some more people, some more know-it-alls into this family that we're building. We love talking football. More than happy to talk about anything. Let's
even
go.
Having John Turner on the phone sometimes. He's part of it. He's a new know-it-all. And have a happy and safe Labor Day to everybody out there. And next week we're going to be previewing the season here. Getting ready and doing our picks. So that'll be interesting.
There.
The bet is on again, Joe. Joe and I are betting for picks throughout the season. It's going to be exciting. We will love having you guys along with us. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.